Lila Mae pressed her palms flat against the fogged glass of Honeycrumb Bakery, her small fingers leaving smudges on the surface. Inside, warm golden light bathed rows of decadent cakes, chocolate cascades dripping with ganache, vanilla confections adorned with sugar lilies, rainbow layers that seemed to glow from within, each one crowned with candles, waiting to light up someone's joy. It was her 6th birthday, and there would be no cake. Her mom, Clara, knelt beside her on the cracked sidewalk, her frayed flannel shirt and scuffed boots telling a story of endless toil. "I'm so sorry, Bug," she murmured, her voice heavy with the weight of back-to-back shifts at the diner. "Between the car repair and rent, there's just nothing left." Lila blinked back tears, her tiny shoulders slumping. "It's okay, Mama. Apartments are more important than cake." Clara pulled her close, swallowing hard to hold back her own tears. Since Lila's dad walked out 4 years ago, they'd been barely treading water, Clara working every extra hour she could, yet never quite catching up. They didn't notice the man standing a few paces away, watching them with a strange mix of sorrow and recognition. Elias Voss was 34, a tech mogul worth $2.3 billion, his empire built on a social platform that had redefined connection. In boardrooms, he was known as sharp, relentless, and laser-focused, unbothered by anything that didn't move the needle. Today, he was en route to his niece's lavish birthday party, a $10,000 affair with a celebrity clown, custom decor, and a $4,000 castle cake that would be devoured in minutes. He was already late when Lila's quiet words cut through the bustle. "I had no cake on my birthday." Something in that resigned little voice stopped him cold. He watched as Clara comforted Lila, as the girl in her faded polka-dot dress stole one last longing glance at the bakery window before turning to walk away. Elias's mind flashed to his own 7th birthday. His dad had just left, his mom working 3 jobs to keep them fed, and his birthday had slipped her mind entirely. A neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, had shown up with a lopsided grocery store cake, its frosting smudged, but it had felt like a treasure. Someone had noticed. Someone had cared. Elias made a split-second decision. He stepped into the bakery, the bell above the door jingling softly. The owner, Mrs. Lopez, smiled instantly. Everyone in the city knew Elias Voss. "Mr. Voss, how can we assist you?" He pointed to the largest cake in the window. A 3-tiered masterpiece swirled with buttercream roses and delicate gold piping. "That one. I need it now with 6 candles." Mrs. Lopez's eyes widened. "Sir, that's for a wedding tomorrow. We spent 3 days making it." Elias pulled out his black card, his voice calm but firm. "Charge me double for the cake and a replacement. I need this one today." 5 minutes later, he carried the cake box carefully, hurrying to catch up to Clara and Lila. "Excuse me," he called. Clara froze, her hand tightening around Lila's as she turned, wary of well-dressed strangers, of kindness that might come with strings. Elias approached slowly, his expensive suit feeling out of place next to their worn clothes. "I heard what you said at the bakery," he said gently. "About the birthday. This is for you." He held out the box. Clara stared, stunned. "We can't accept this. We don't even know you." "I'm Elias," he said, crouching to meet Lila's wide eyes. "And this isn't charity. It's a gift from someone who remembers what it's like to feel invisible on your birthday." He paused, his voice softening. "When I was your age, my mom forgot my birthday because she was so tired. A stranger's small cake changed everything for me. Now I want to do the same for you." Clara studied his face, no greed, no agenda, just genuine warmth, and nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Lila gasped as Elias opened the box, her hands flying to her mouth. "Is that really mine?" "Every bite," he said with a smile. He insisted on driving them home, his sleek black sedan a stark contrast to their cramped apartment in Riverside Towers, and carried the cake up the creaky stairs. Their place was tiny. A shared bedroom, a living room barely big enough for a couch, a kitchen where Clara could barely turn around. But it was spotless, Lila's drawings taped to the walls, library books stacked neatly, a jar of dandelions on the windowsill. Clara cleared space on the rickety kitchen table, moving aside the peanut butter sandwiches she'd prepared for dinner. As they sang Happy Birthday, Lila closed her eyes so tight her face scrunched up, blowing out the candles in one breath. "What did you wish for?" Elias asked. "She can't say. It'll break the magic." Clara laughed through her tears. They ate the cake slowly, Lila savoring each bite like it was the most precious thing in the world. Elias asked about her favorite books, her school, her dream of becoming a librarian someday. "I I want to help kids find joy in stories, like books help me when mama's working, she said. When he left, Elias sat in his car for 20 minutes, thinking about Clara's worn hands, Lila's bright eyes, the quiet dignity they'd maintained despite their struggles. He thought about his own empty penthouse, his endless meetings, the wealth he'd accumulated that had started to feel meaningless. He pulled out his phone and made a call. "Marcus, I need you to do something quietly. Pay Clara Bennett's rent for the next 2 years. Fix her apartment, new AC, fix the bathroom leak. And find her a better job at our customer service division. Good pay, benefits, flexible hours. Don't tell her it's from me." The next morning, Clara got the call from her landlord. "Your rent's paid in full, anonymous donor. We're fixing the place next week." She shook so hard she could barely hold the phone. A week later, a letter arrived. A job offer from Voss Technologies, salary double what she made at the diner, plus health insurance. She'd never applied, but the letter praised her work ethic and dedication. A month after that, Lila came home with a scholarship certificate, funds for school supplies, tutoring, and summer programs for low-income kids. Clara suspected Elias, but every call to his office went unanswered. He'd vanished as suddenly as he'd appeared. Years passed. Clara thrived in her new job, eventually becoming a team lead. They moved to a small house with a backyard, where Lila planted sunflowers every summer. Lila excelled in school, her love of reading nurtured by the programs Elias had funded. At 16, she started volunteering at the local youth center, reading to kids from low-income families, kids who reminded her of that little girl pressed against the bakery window. One afternoon, as she left the center, a familiar car pulled up. Elias stepped out, silver threads in his dark hair, but the same kind eyes. "Lila," he said, "do you remember me?" She smiled instantly. "The cake man. Of course I do. I've been looking for you." He chuckled softly. "I didn't want to be found. I didn't do it for thanks." "I know," Lila said. "But I need you to know, you didn't just give me a cake. You gave my mom a break. You gave me a chance. The rent, the job, the scholarship, it was all you, wasn't it?" Elias nodded, looking slightly uncomfortable. "Your wish. That night, you whispered it to me before I left. You wanted your mom to stop working so hard. I had the power to make that happen. Why wouldn't I?" Lila stepped closer, her eyes shining. "Because most people wouldn't. Most people would walk past a sad little girl and never look back. You chose to stop. You chose to care." She hugged him, and Elias felt a lump in his throat. This young woman, kind, driven, compassionate, had taught him more about wealth's purpose than any business deal ever could. 3 years later, Elias sat in the audience at Lila's college graduation, next to Clara, who'd become a dear friend. As Lila stepped up to give her speech, she held up a photo of a little girl with a cake-covered face. "On my 6th birthday, I thought the world had forgotten me," she said. Then a stranger noticed. "He gave me a cake, but more than that, he gave me hope. He taught me that true wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you do with it. It's about noticing someone's pain and choosing to act." She looked directly at Elias. "Someone did that for me. Now I want to spend my life doing that for others." As the crowd erupted in applause, Clara squeezed Elias's hand. "You saved us," she whispered. Elias shook his head, watching Lila beam as she accepted her diploma. "No," he said. "You saved me. You reminded me what it all means. That's the thing about kindness. It's never just a small act. It's a ripple that spreads, touching lives in ways no one can predict. A birthday cake, a moment of attention, a choice to care, they changed 3 lives forever." Elias learned that the best investment he'd ever made wasn't in code or stocks, but in a little girl's happiness. Lila learned that compassion can rewrite a life story. And Clara learned that even in the darkest days, there are people who will see you, who will care, who will remind you that you're not alone. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply stop. To notice the sad little girl at the bakery window. To hear the weariness in a mother's voice. To choose kindness when it's easier to look away. That's the true measure of wealth. That's the magic of a single generous act, one that ripples through a lifetime.